Hey, all right, here we go. Hey, it's time for the show, the weekly show that I make to pass the time and entertain people who are entertained by stuff like this. I'm Uncle whatever anybody says is fine because I don't really care about made-up names for my made-up show. It's just a thing that I do, and you can come along with me as it all happens. Today, we're going to talk about Batman. Okay? You kids know who Batman is, right? So, Batman is a guy who dresses like a bat to fight crime. But does he dress like a bat? He wears power armor with a picture of the bat on the chest. And he wears like a hat sort of hood thing with bat ears on it. But those aren't really bat ears so much as like we all grew up being told they were bat ears and now that's how we see them. See, life's funny that way. You can be told something your entire life by everybody to the point that you never question it. It's like, sometimes I wonder if I might be the only person in all of reality who even is real. Everybody else looks like they could just be robots. You know, like they're wearing suits of human skin under their clothes. Batman isn't a bat. I've always been confused about that. Like Spider-Man got his powers from a spider. I get that. Superman is a man who is super. I get that. But Batman is like Batman. He's like a normal dude who wears a cape and a mask and a shirt with the outline of a bat. And he's a martial artist who's also a detective and a scientist, and we call him the Batman, which I guess is fine, but some people say he looks like a bat, and he doesn't look anything like a bat. He looks like a guy in a weird costume. The criminals wouldn't call him Batman or the Bat. They would say, hey, have you seen that weird guy in that crazy fucking costume? That shit's fucking crazy. Nobody would be saying, hey, I think there's a giant bat terrorizing the criminals in our city. He clearly is a face, a very human face, and it's clearly a mask that he's wearing. So who's being fooled by this? And see, he's living in a world where this stuff does exist. Batman's fought werewolves, and vampires, and aliens, and shape-shifting maniacs, and creatures with psychic powers and other strange abilities. There's a creature that is a man who is a bat, and he's actually a Batman, and they call him Man-Bat. It's a whole thing. But like, nobody would think that Batman was a bat, or that he even looked like a bat. Not in a world where shit can really look like weird shit. Hawkman looks more like a hawk than Batman looks like a bat. You kids remember Hawkman? He's an alien cop from outer space with anti-gravity suspenders who dresses like giant birds and fights crime with a mace. He might be the stupidest thing I've ever talked about on this show. But some people love him. Now, I can't really imagine why. Batman's a pretty cool guy, I guess. He's a rich guy, and you know I got mixed feelings about trusting rich guys. How'd they get so rich, you know? Nobody ever got rich giving money away, and few people got rich while treating their workers well. Where does Bruce Wayne get all his money from? Is he the one billionaire in all of history who doesn't have the blood of the workers on his hands? That would be nice. That would be real fucking nice. I'd sleep better at night. But it's hard to trust. His dad was a doctor. Who knows what shady shit he might be into? Stealing medical supplies, selling organs on the black market. We'll never know. Because nobody's asking these questions. They're all just happy to go along with it. Oh, yes, indeed, Mr. Batman, sir. A novelty cup with your face on it? Why not? A sandwich named after you? Oh, we'll make it so. Actually, maybe that's where Batman's money comes from. Maybe Bruce Wayne owns the Batman trademark, so he's the one who makes a buck every time a Batman t-shirt gets sold. He spends half his night just hunting down bootleggers, trying to horn in on his action. Batman, he doesn't have any powers, except that as a fictional character, he's got a healing factor that basically works like magic. He rarely scars, and his bruises slip away after a good night's sleep. His organs are always just fine if he wraps a bandage around himself. I never hear him complain about internal bleeding or the long-term effects of his violent lifestyle. You'd think he'd blow out his knees in the first year, and then how long before he catches a disease by getting stabbed with a dirty knife? That happens more than you'd think. Serial killer stabs Batman, clowns stab him, and those aren't the sort of people who are likely to clean a blade before they use it. How much junk does he have floating around in his bloodstream? Little poisons picked up from the gutter. Maybe he is a victim. That'd explain a lot. Like how he has super strength and can turn invisible and heal any injury. Or maybe it's just sloppy writing. I don't know. Batman's birthday is March 30th, making him an Aries. That's the sign of the ram. But it doesn't mean he is a ram. He's not like Ram Man or Bat Ram or Ram Bat. But it does mean that today he'll get a strange and confusing message. Perhaps his detective skills will help him deduce what the message is about. Me, I'm a Scorpio. I'm supposed to get my own energies reflected back at me today. I guess that's nice. It sounds nice. The worst thing about Batman is his boots. They smell really bad and he acts like they don't. Like they smell just fine. They don't. I think he's got some sort of like toe mold or something else. He should really go see a doctor. They'd probably tell him to They'd probably tell him to stop running around in a silly outfit at night, which is why he doesn't go see a doctor. Batman doesn't like being told what to do. Batman's a member of some teams, like the Justice People or the Outside Traders. They're pretty cool teams, I guess. They're full of shapeshifters and magical demon boogers and dudes who can crush stars into toothpaste. I used to be impressed by all that stuff, but now I see it's mostly just done with mirrors. Nothing's real. Superheroes aren't real, they're just jerks in funny outfits. A lot of them are just actors, and some of them are kind of hard to deal with. Eventually, Batman will die, and his reign of terror will at last come to an end. Some say he'll die by fire, like a marshmallow roast gets out of control, while others say he'll die the way bats traditionally die, from some sort of disease, or by being hit by a car. Batman is a pretty tough guy, but if you hit him with a car or a large cinder block, he'd drop pretty fast. Nobody's that tough when they got a shotgun pressed up against their spine. I'm sure he thinks he could dodge it, but seriously, how do you dodge something like that? It's a joke. He'd be taken out in a moment. Anyway, this has been a real show, hasn't it? This has been the Whatever You Call Me show, where we all gather on a weekly basis to learn about the world and discuss the various types of entities that take up too much space in the world. Batman doesn't take up too much space, he's just a fictional guy. But his books and t-shirts take up a lot of space. Piles of space. Whole warehouses filled with crap and junk and wild toys that nobody really wants. Or so they'd admit if they could be honest with themselves. I'm pretty honest, and that's why I'm honestly glad that you took this time to share in this show with me. Thank you so much for being here, and don't forget to tell all your friends how much we learned here today. They'll appreciate that, and so will I. And now, as the wind begins to gently wind down against the old haunted nuclear power plant, it's time for us to make like those radioactive ghosts that haunt the place and slink off into darker shadows, where we might do our evil deeds in secret. But don't you do no evil deeds. You be good, you hear me? For God's sakes, please be good. Anyway, I've been me, and this has been my show. Thank you so much for listening, and just, oh man, have a wonderful day.
Oh yeah, that's all she wrote.